Hello, today I'm here with Sarah, who's going to be sharing with us a little bit about her story. So Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today and for being so willing to share your story. Before you share that, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, just to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Sarah. I live in Ely with my husband Kyle, and two girls, Iona, who is 5, and Erin, who is 17 months. And whilst I'm not being mummy and wife, I work at the cathedral in the education department as learning officer.
So very busy.
Yeah.
You look very calm and like, you put it all together. Well done.
Sometimes.
Oh, so you've come along today to share your story and about how God's been at work in your life. But I guess before we get to the story part, I wondered if you could tell us, have you always had a faith?
Well, I grew up in a church, so I've always had people who've had faith around me. But when I was 14, like many people who grew up going to church, I stopped going to church, and faith just wasn't part of my life at all. But I struggled quite a lot at sixth form. It just didn't fit very well with me. So at 18, I started going back to church and very quickly became involved with youth work and various things going on in the church like that. And from there, I decided that I wanted to do a degree in youth work. So I went to Ridley Hall in Cambridge and did a youth work and theology degree. And worked alongside the degree in various churches.
Brilliant.
And whilst I was at Ridley, my faith really changed and grew. I realised the more I learnt about God and the different depths of theology and God himself, I realised that actually I knew very little about him. And there was so much to know that I knew that I'd never fully understand him. And in that, my faith became very simple. And so I realised that actually at the heart of God is love, and therefore what God requires of us is love, and in whatever form that might come in. So that's where I am today. Very simple but strong faith, I believe.
Brilliant. So tell us a little bit about your story at the moment. So where do you go to church and how did you end up there?
So we go to Christ Church, North Ely, which meets in the Isle School, which is currently in the middle of a building development. But as of this month, we should have some residents.
Well, hey.
Which will be very exciting. It's been a long time coming, but we are very excited about that. And the reason I ended up at Christ Church was that I started to really struggle with church. I found people to be a bit false in churches. They covered up the reality of life, really. And I really struggled with actually the honesty of people around me and how they live their lives. But also my daughter really hated going to church. We had a battle every Sunday. And so we stopped going for a little while. And then I was invited to Christ Church. And we didn't have a morning battle because Christ Church starts at 4:00 in the afternoon. We start with coffee and cake, which is always a nice gentle start to an afternoon church. And then Iona loves it, and the people of Christ Church are very genuine. They're a real mixture of people, and they're very honest. People are very open about what's going on in their lives. And actually I found that it really restored my faith in people, and therefore in church itself. And Iona loves going. She's the only one of her age in the church, and yet she still loves going every week, and she gets really upset if she doesn't go.
Well, that's encouraging.
So it's very different, but at the same time it's
And do you find that in Christchurch you're able to be honest and vulnerable in a way that you said you'd struggled to find that previously in different communities that you've been involved in?
It's we're sat around tables, we're our talk is only 10 minutes, and then we're asked to discuss various different questions about life in general.
Yeah.
And actually people are forced to talk to each other, and forced to talk about things that are important to them.
Okay.
Which actually means that as you grow used to the way that we do things, the more open you become about who you are, what's going on, and your faith.
Yeah.
And what's really encouraging is that actually these are things that Iona and Erin are both witnessing. They're seeing people live out their faith and telling each other about the struggles that they have.
Yeah, okay.
So although they don't go out and learn Bible stories, etc., they witness people crying. They see people laughing and joking.
Yeah.
They see people hugging and comforting each other. And to me that's far more important to grow a child's faith than to know the Bible inside out.
Yeah. So it's been, I guess, a great journey for you to come back to church and to find a home, but also really a blessing to see your children finding a home and feeling like they're involved in this space for them to grow as well.
It's great to see them. I mean, both of the girls, they feel very at home. Yeah. And Erin goes and entertains any new person who happens to walk past.
Oh, so, that's really brilliant. That's really great. Thank you for sharing. And last of all, as it's Advent and people are watching on, if there was one thing that you could share with everybody who's watching in this season, what would it be and why?
I guess it's don't give up on people. Yeah. I never lost faith in the church. I always knew, like deep down in my faith, that the church is part of God's plan for the world. So I never lost faith in the church, but I lost faith in people.
Okay.
But I found people helped me find faith in them again. Yeah. Okay. And I think it's no matter who you are, no matter where you are. Yeah. Actually, there are churches where people will restore your faith in who they are and what we as a church are capable of. Yeah,
brilliant. Okay, that's really helpful. I think it's really helpful for everyone who's watching on as well, especially at Advent and as we head towards Christmas. Perhaps if you haven't been to church for a while, or perhaps it was something you did when you were younger but haven't been to a church since, perhaps this is a really good time to come along to church, because you'd be really welcome at Christchurch or any of the other churches in the Ely team, anything that's happening over Christmas. But thank you, Sarah, so much for joining me today, and thank you so much for sharing your story. It's been brilliant.
It's all right. Thank you very much.